Hey, this is a lecture that was done at Stanford University approximately 10 years ago in the year 2010, and the lecturer is going to talk a little bit about the so-called swine flu affair in the 70s. And President Ford decided to try to vaccinate 95% of the American population, and there was a percentage of people that developed Guillain-Barré syndrome. Now, I can testify as to where I'm currently residing that several individuals pointed out to me that years ago there was a woman they knew that was perfectly healthy, and as soon as she got this vaccine, she did develop this Guillain-Barré syndrome. So I have a personal witness of individuals that have witnessed to me about the woman in the 70s who was certainly one of these individuals who acquired this from the shot, from the vaccine. So let's listen in as this speaker, this man, tells us about a little bit of this with the swine flu affair.
To kind of get people to take the vaccine, Ford had himself vaccinated on television. I thought this was Dr. Salk, but it turns out it wasn't. It was someone else who gave him his shot on television. And actually the reason he did this is because a couple of days before, 3 people who had gone to one clinic to get their shot dropped dead shortly thereafter.
Oh, look, he or she can't wait to snicker a little bit, like, oh, they just dropped dead.
And the news reports picked this up and made a big hullabaloo about, well, maybe it was real.
They made a big hullabaloo? Well, what if it was your loved one there, sweet little doll? That's the way to talk about some decent reporting? They made a big hullabaloo just because 3 people dropped dead right after getting the shot? Who are these people? Who are these people that have been crowned experts? They're psychopaths.
The vaccine, and even one reporter noted that the vaccine wasn't safe. So in order to convince people that the vaccine was safe...
Oh yeah, like that's just so incidental. 3 people dropped dead. Well, we have to prove it's safe.
Ford had himself vaccinated to show people he wasn't afraid of it. It would be perfectly safe.
Of course, because even if he did get something injected, it may have just been saline solution. Who the heck knows what may have actually been injected? And maybe there was nothing injected and his arm was just trickery. Nonsense. The whole world watches one so-called leader get a so-called vaccine? No way. But yet, 3 people drop dead instantly? Which one are you going to believe? I think those reporters back in those days were actually doing a decent job. I don't know that we have any reporters like that anymore. I think they're all completely gone. All right? And there is absolutely no objectivity in any reporting on anything anywhere right now. That's how bad it is.
So a total of 40 million Americans were vaccinated against this virus. As it turns out, about 1 in 100,000 plus people developed this syndrome, which had not been seen very much prior to that, called the Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a kind of ascending paralysis. And of those, about 1 out of 1 million people died. So
maybe that statistic is off, because they did report right upon getting the vaccine, a certain group, 3 of them died. So there may have been actually many, many more deaths than just what they're reporting here.
Basically, because the fits and starts, and because now there's really not been an isolate of this same strain in many months, 9 months, and because of the fear about the vaccine and the Guillain-Barre, which turned out to be associated with the vaccine, the whole campaign stopped in '76. The end result is it contributed probably to President Ford's losing the election, which occurred in November. David Sancer was fired by the new Secretary of HEW, Joseph Califano, and 2 years later, Professor Neustadt and Dr. Feinberg actually were asked to write a report for Califano about.
So why haven't we learned our lesson then? Well, look out, because the manufacturers are developing a vaccine right now. Who knows what kind of physiological consequences will develop? Learn from history. People died in the 70s, and people acquired Guillain-Barre syndrome thanks to the efforts of President Ford to want to vaccinate 95% of the population. And if the stats are true here, it says 40 million were vaccinated in the 70s. So learn from this that vaccines are not to prevent illness. They are causing illness. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching. End of video.